In this video, we're looking at the top 5 weird ways people have died. I might have a bit of fun in this video, but please do remember, these are real people. So although I do want you to share and I do want you to comment, please do be sensitive as you do so. Number 5. The Drowning Bride. Have you ever heard of trash the dress? Some people call it a ritual, but basically it's where after being married, these brides wear the dress and go out and take some playful pictures while trashing their dress. I mean, some of these pictures are actually really awesome. Anyway, Maria Pantazopoulos had recently got married to Billy, and she wanted herself some awesome pictures. So she commissioned a photographer to take some pictures of her in a river in Quebec, Canada. The intention were to take a few pictures around the river, and then she really wanted some floating in the river. She got to the river and all was well. I mean, she weren't even that deep. What could possibly go wrong? The water where she was standing was only 6 inches deep. Nevertheless, the dress was touching the water and it started soaking up the water. As it did, the dress got heavier and heavier. The dress started building up to an astonishing 100 pound in weight. As it did, she started slipping and she started falling. The photographer saw that she was struggling and he grabbed hold of her. But she was too heavy and he couldn't pull her back. Maria is now in the water and she's really struggling to keep afloat. The photographer swims out to her to try and pull her back or keep her afloat, but she's too heavy. She's struggling to keep hold of him, and whenever she's keeping hold of him, she's pulling him under as well. Unfortunately, Maria did end up drowning. In at number 4, under the fridge. In 2009, Larry Ely Murillo Moncada worked at the Northville supermarket in Council Bluffs, Iowa. He was reported missing the day after Thanksgiving 2009. His parents said that he left their house barefoot after an argument. It was during a blizzard and he was having hallucinations. He left behind his car, his keys, he failed to return home, and he was never heard from again. Some sources also claim that he actually went missing while at work, but I don't know. However, in the next 10 years, there'd been absolutely nothing from him. Nobody had heard from Larry, nobody had seen him. 10 years, completely nothing. Now, at some point in those 10 years, the Northville Superstore shut down. Then, in 2019, 10 years after Larry went missing, some team of workers were dismantling shelves. As they were doing so, they removed a 12-foot tall freezer. And behind the freezer, they found a 45cm or 18-inch hole in the floor. And as you've probably guessed, Larry was found dead inside the hole. There was absolutely no signs of foul play, no evidence of foul play, so it was ruled as an accident. It's thought that somehow Larry had fell down this hole and couldn't get back out. And he possibly tried to scream and shout for help, but the cooler noise had blocked and muffled all his screams, so nobody could hear him. Later on, ex-staff from the superstore did say there was a foul smell, and customers often complained about this, but despite them looking for what was causing the smell, they could never find anything. Number 3, gender reveal. These days, there seems to be added pressure to create and post the most compelling content, and that exists for people that aren't even content creators. And it seems that people will go to crazy lengths to get that perfect shot. In 2019, 56-year-old Pamela Cremier of Marion County, Iowa, was absolutely delighted that she was going to have another grandchild. Now, I am sure you are all aware of the trend that is baby gender reveals. The entire point is to go that step further than just telling people. The most common way is usually a blackout balloon full of helium and a confetti that's blue or pink to symbolise boy or girl. But like I said, when you're trying to make the world's most epic video, a balloon full of helium might not be quite what you're looking for. So on the 25th and 26th of October 2019, which were Friday and a Saturday, this family had decided to experiment with some explosives. I know, already off to a bad start. After a few trials, they'd got what they thought was the final product. They made this contraption, which was basically a metal tube welded to a metal base plate with a hole drilled in the side of a tube for a fuse. The tube was then filled with gunpowder and coloured powder, and finally covered with board. The plan was quite simple. Once ignited, the gunpowder would explode, send the coloured powder shooting out into the air, making a massive, spectacular sight. So on Sunday, the 27th of October 2019, all the family gathered around. They were going to see this explosive gender reveal that would never be forgotten and would surely go viral. All eager to find out what the baby's gender were, the fuse was lit. Unfortunately, they'd also wrapped tape around the top of the metal tube. So without realising it, They'd essentially made a pipe B to the om. I didn't really want to say that word just in case YouTube censors me. But the top and bottom of it is, a few seconds after the fuse were lit, instead of shooting powder with nice colour everywhere in the garden to rain down on people, the entire device blew up, sending hot, sharp metal pieces of metal from the base everywhere. At this time, Pamela was standing with other family members about 45 feet away from this contraption. A piece of shrapnel from the base came straight at Pamela, hit her in the head, and killed her instantly. It hit her with that much speed that after hitting her, it continued to fly through the air for another 144 yards before landing in a field. Number 2, Death by Wedgie. 33-year-old Brad Davis was invited around to his mom and stepdad's house in McLeod, Oklahoma. It's important that you know that Brad's stepmom was currently in hospital having a hip operation. Denver Lee St. Clair was Brad's 58-year-old stepdad. So Brad went round, had a few drinks with him, and as the drinks were flowing that night, Denver said a few bad things about Brad's mom. I don't know how bad they were, but Brad says he was bad-mouthing his mom. An argument broke out, and, well, the entire thing could be its own true crime case. But the reason it's in this video is because when the police and medics turned up, Denver was laid on the floor dead with the waistband from his pants around his neck. Brad's claimed that he punched his stepdad unconscious, and while he was laid on the floor, he took the opportunity to give him a wedgie. I don't know if Brad intended for Denver to die, but he did die. The official cause of death was suffocation and blunt force trauma to the head. What was surely supposed to be a playground prank ended up with Brad serving 30 years in prison. Number 1, Death by Fishcake. Now, if I told you that Darren died by eating a fish cake, you'd probably assume he choked, right? Well, I'd then tell you were wrong and he died 12 hours later. So now you're probably thinking, well, it's food poisoning. But you'd still be wrong. 51-year-old Darren Hickey was a wedding planner, and on the 4th of April 2019, he was at work at a wedding venue. It was there that the chef gave him a small fish cake to try. Small, innocent gesture, probably with the best intentions. So Darren gladly accepted the gift, and he ate the fish cake. But the fish cake was really hot, and it burnt down his mouth and throat. Let's face it, we've all had that experience, we've all drank or eaten something that's too hot, and it's really awful. But for Darren, the pain just weren't going. So later on, he went to the hospital. Darren was seen at the urgent care ward in Chorley Hospital, Lancashire, UK. They basically assessed him, said he was perfectly fine, gave him some paracetamol painkillers, and told him that if the pain gets any worse, just come back and see us. So Darren went home, and he just went to rest in his bedroom. Unbeknown to him, the entire time he's in his bedroom resting, his voice box is swelling. Then, a little while later, his partner came in to check on him, and he was choking. The pathologist that performed his post-mortem said that it was a very rare case, only seen in people that had breathed in smoke during a house fire. That's how badly it had burnt his airways. He added a little warning to us all. The patient can appear well, they will be talking to you, but then the swelling starts. Within 12 hours of eating the fish cake, Darren died of asphyxiation. There are tons of weird ways that people have died, so if you know one that you find really interesting, please do put it in the comments below, share it with us all. Also, please do be sure to let us know which of the top 5 that we've just gone through is the most interesting to you. Until next time, goodbye.